Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of TGC Radio. It's episode 13, and we're gonna be taking a look at my most listened to music from the week of February 16th through February 22nd, 2024. And much like the last one being a really short episode, this one is gonna be a really short episode and maybe even shorter because I just didn't really listen to very much, if I'm being honest. But one thing I will say, last week I mentioned that Spanish love songs was very close to not making the list for the first time, and they just barely snuck their way in, and this week they've officially missed their first episode. But in saying that, like I said, I didn't listen to very much, and if we look at artists right now, my most listened to artist was Simple Plan by far, and that's because I finally listened to their record from just a couple of years ago, Harder Than It Looks. And then we have Iron Maiden and Every Avenue as the really only other two bands worth mentioning for the week. Moving on to albums. Like I just said, Simple Plan's Harder Than It Looks. I listened to the entire thing, so that's here. I started listening to Iron Maiden's The Number of the Beast album. And I still listen to, really, again, it was just Tell Me I'm a Wreck, but Every Avenue's Picture Perfect is still there as well. And again, that's really the only thing worth mentioning for albums. In tracks, there's really not any specific track worth mentioning, but I will mention a good few here just to talk about a little bit more. And the tracks I will mention will be, of course, Every Avenue's Tell Me I'm a Wreck, just because, again, I've been listening to that basically non-stop since I finally decided to listen to Every Avenue's Picture Perfect. 22 Acacia Avenue from The Number of the Beast. I listened to a few times when I finally decided to re-listen to the Number of the Beast. I don't know if I actually listened to the entire thing as a kid, but I remember a lot of the record from what I did re-listen to it. I only listened to about half the record. But I recognized every single song very well, so I have a feeling I listened to the entire thing as a kid. Much in the same way as Tell Me I'm a Wreck, Midtown's Give It Up is still here as well. Simple Plan's Best Day of My Life from Harder Than It Looks is there as well. Really good song. I'll talk about it in a minute. Taking Back Sundays, A Decade Under the Influence, I love that song. It's probably my favorite single from Where You Want to Be. I love that song so much, and genuinely, I love, obviously, Taking Back Sunday. Where You Want to Be, I will stand by. I think is their best record, but I'll talk about that another day. But then, the specific radio edit version of Caution by the Killers, I've talked about this song a lot before. I just love this song, and I love the Killers. And then finally, The Taste of Ink by The Used, and again, I just love this song. And yeah, so that's basically everything that I wanted to mention, and all of those really only have like a few plays, not much to talk about for those either, and that's why I wasn't going to bring them up. But just because there's not much to talk about in this episode, really, I figured, yeah, why not, But yeah, looking at it, obviously the only two albums I really listened to in the week in any capacity was Simple Plan's Harder Than It Looks and Iron Maiden's The Number of the Beast. Again, Harder Than It Looks I genuinely liked a lot. I'm not the biggest fan of Simple Plan, and I get why there's a lot of people who don't like Simple Plan. I mean, at times Pierre can sound whiny, and a lot of their music, especially earlier on, but it still kind of remained that way throughout a lot of their career. A lot of their music was just very kind of like immature and juvenile, and a lot of it didn't have that same kind of charm that like the early Blink stuff had when they would do that, But no, I still like Simple Plan a good bit, and Harder Than It Looks I think generally was good, and I like to listen to that record because it felt like a more mature Simple Plan, So I like that a lot too. And I thought the record was very solid. And the Number of the Beast, I think, is interesting because for quite a while, I've been under the impression that I just don't really like metal that much. But no. I think I think why I thought I didn't really like metal that much was probably because, for whatever reason, I just hadn't been listening to a lot of, like, melodic stuff. But, like, no, listening to Number the Beast, I'm like, wow, this is so, like, hooky and catchy and melodic, and that's just what I want from metal, you know? I mean, as well as that, I'm not a huge fan of, like, deathcore and stuff like that. Like, I'm not a fan of, like, screaming where this screaming is basically, like, unintelligible, you know? Like, if you genuinely have to look up the lyrics to a song, I think that is... Like, if you have to genuinely look up the lyrics to the song to even understand what they're saying, I think that is a bad thing. But because it's like, at that point, you might as well just be making instrumental music, but that's a conversation for a different time. And I don't think all of that is bad. There's generally some, like, deathcore and... Like, there's music with screaming like that, and there's, like, deathcore and stuff like that I do think genuinely is good, and I do enjoy, but more often than not, that is not where I'm gonna lean musically. But yeah, no, like, Number the Beast reminded me, like, no, I like metal a lot, but in general, I want melody. And yeah, and like I said, that's kind of basically it. There really isn't much more. I just, like I said, I started out pretty strong, actually finishing up listening to the Simple Plan record, starting to revisit Number of the Beast, and then I completely just fell off entirely. So yeah. But I guess I can say, since I have a good bit of time to work with here, I guess I probably could say, I think I've hinted at it. I don't know if I've talked about it exactly in the past, but this channel is going to be more than just the, like, eponymous series TGC Radio. It's going to be more than that. I do have some other ideas, and like I said before, yeah, I have said it before, I will bring over some, like, the other music content that I've done and, like, put it on here, and I have some other ideas for stuff like that. And there's other music content to go on here. Because at its core, I already wanted to do, like, a music channel anyway. Just because, like, I knew that would be a good idea. But I called it TGC Radio, obviously, just because, like, I started the series and I wanted to finally pull the trigger on, like, making a music channel and separating that out. And I figured TGC Radio, I feel, is a better name than, like, TGC Music. And I didn't want to, like, have to always say, like, the Geeky Comrade Music, you know, or something like that. So, like, I wanted the abbreviation. So, yeah. But yeah, like, more music stuff will be coming out. I do have an idea, like, I want to talk about, in full depth, why I like specific albums. I don't know if I'll do it, like, more of, like, a review or retrospective or, like, video essay. I don't know. I'm leaning more video essay about why I like specific things than review. Just because, I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of reviews, to be honest. I never have been, really. Like, there's people I do watch their reviews and pay attention to those, but, yeah, I don't know. I've never been a huge fan of that. But no, I'm just rambling at this point, so that's kind of like something you can look forward to eventually, and I will eventually make a point of doing all of that as well, and putting more out. But no, that's going to be TGC Radio episode 13. Like I said, not much to talk about. We'll see how much of this even stays in the video anyway. But I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, leave a like, comment down below. Share up on social media, do all that good stuff. Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye, guys.